And since there are no meeting minutes from last time for us to consider, we'll move on to that. So item number 3 is the election of officers. Chair would be open with nominating chairman first, president, and vice chair, and you have a second. Through acclamation. Okay.
Is it mandatory that we do it this meeting with so many people gone, or should we just proceed?
No, the planning commission kind of needs to
okay.
get this.
And you mentioned that Ron said he would.
Ron said he would be happy to do vice chair again. I guess for chairman, anyone who wants to do it can speak up, and you guys can nominate him, I guess, unless you want to nominate someone.
Is there interest from anyone to be
I'll do it
chair?
again. I'll do it again.
Pat, would you be willing
Well, I
to?
will nominate Pat
Second?
for chair.
Second?
I guess the nominations are
I would move to close the nominations.
closed. And, okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye be it.
Very good. Thank you.
Ron said he would do vice chair.
Unless
Again.
somebody else wants to.
Does anybody want it instead? Right?
Mike, do you want it?
You want
Yeah, I'll do it. Nobody else
Okay.
wants it.
I'll nominate Mike Keith for vice chair.
I'll second that.
it? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 You're it. And
And Pam said she'd be happy to do the secretary, and I can do the
you can help her with it?
other one.
I'll move to nominate Pam for acting secretary.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
She's it.
I guess you're the acting secretary, aren't you,
Yeah,
Debbie?
the acting secretary.
Okay. Now we can move on. Paul, you're here for the St. Croix River Fest?
Yep. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Paul Burgett, live here in Hudson. You want some background, or how would you like? I'm on the board of the St. Croix River Association, and every year, as part of river awareness, we try to get out there and clean up the river. And this year, we decided to try to turn up the volume and turn this into more than just a cleanup, but a celebration of the river and all that it has. So, how do I turn the PowerPoint on? Do I do that?
Just, yeah, here we go. Oh, he's got it.
Oh, there it is.
There you go.
So you've got all the slides here. This is held this year we're holding it 13 through 18 July in conjunction with River Awareness Week, which runs from the 13th to the 21st. We decided to hold things, keep people off the river on weekends for this. So some of the activities that are listed here, we have a schedule developed, but this is just kind of going through all the different events that we have planned from Saturday all the way through Thursday, which is kind of the culmination of it as a big band shell opportunity. But really wanted to bring to your attention the idea of this commissioned sculpture that we have gotten a grant for and have an artist hired. And I don't know if you have any questions about all these activities. The rest of them are pretty much just getting people out there and celebrating the river, doing an actual cleanup. And so these are over several days, and several organizations are kind of behind helping us put this together.
Could you talk a little bit about the Let's Go fishing excursions? I know we talked a little bit.
I've got the last slide is on Let's Go Fishing. Can I hold off on that? Yeah. Yep. But the next one of interest is this commissioned sculpture. And the idea is Mary Johnson is an artist in St. Paul area, Twin Cities area, and she's commissioned these sculptures over the year. This is Morph the Transforming Frog. And the next one is a sculpture of a rabbit, and you can give you the idea of the armature behind it. But what she does is, in her studio, creates a steel frame. This thing is long-lasting frame for these animal structures, and the idea is during Riverfest is to get people out there on the river, collect refuse along the river, and Liz Malanofi, working with the FIPS, working with Anastasia, would conduct a class to actually take the trash and turn it into a sculpture. And so we're looking for a home for this thing. We found 2 candidates, but ideally we're thinking of Lakefront Park as we're to put this. The idea would be it would be a permanent structure, And every year we do the cleanup regardless. We're out there, so get the kids back out there and maintain it, get it cleaned up, and do a refresh of it every year. So that's kind of the concept behind it. We're meeting next week. We have several people that meet regularly on getting this thing together, and we are going to float some ideas. Some ideas are already being floated of a paddlefish or a sturgeon or a turtle, and somebody's suggested a beaver, but we're going to vote, the whole group of us, next week out at Camp St. Croix to decide what type of animal we're going to transform this thing into. So that's the whole idea behind it. She does it in her studio, transports it to Hudson, and that's when the fun begins, with putting the trash on there. But really, I talked to Tom about this, and we walked to the lakefront yesterday, and Lakefront Park. But this is armature, shows the structural strength of the sculpture, and this is, in this case, it's a rabbit that she's building for the city of St. Paul. This next one, I don't know how good this shows up, but that's kind of where we thought possible location for the sculpture is, with your blessing, or with getting it through the park city council.
That's the band shell right there?
That's the band shell. That's the,
It's
doesn't
just
show
south of
up
the
too
band
well.
shell.
Yeah, it's
Paul, the-
southwest of the band shell, right?
After the event and will the trash be taken off the sculpture and it'll just remain as an armature during the rest of the year?
No, it stays on there. It's permanent. But every year we'll go out and see the integrity of it. And I've talked to Sustain Hudson. They're interested in making sure that there's maintenance throughout the course of the year. But we would, every year, if the trash is in bad shape, I mean, this is good, solid trash, that we would go out there and make sure it's, refresh it every year, maybe a new theme or something else. We're going to, the artist is coming to our meeting next week, and we're going to go through all those kind of details. But she's done this before in the Twin Cities, and it's worked very well.
Do members of the park board want to bring that up at this time to talk about that in the park before they go any further in their planning, or do you want to wait for a full proposal from them? I don't think it's something that we as a small park board, with just the four of us here, should be signing off on until.
What's the
We've
time
heard-
frame?
What's your
Like,
time frame on that, Paul?
Well, she's already, the grant money's coming through this week. She's going to start working on the sculpture in her studio within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, 'cause they
And
can
then
keep
she's
on
going to bring it
giving-
here, she'll bring the armature here for Riverfest.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's finding a home for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Is this
So it's
getting
gonna, so the sculpture's gonna get built regardless.
Regardless,
So
We've-
it's just a matter of where the home is gonna go.
that's correct.
Which isn't imperative to now within the next month. Well,
Actually, no,
Yeah.
that's right.
yeah.
We've got funding for the base, so wherever it goes, we want to make sure the base is in the plaque that comes with it. So, but we have to decide probably, between now and July, ideally. Because we could temporarily put it and build it in Lakefront Park and build a base wherever we decide it's going to be. But ideally, unanimously, people would like to see this in Lakefront Park, but obviously has to get the blessing of the city first.
Yeah, Tom, did you give them our memorials policy and all that stuff, or how things go in the park?
We
Okay,
gave them the policy and
Got all that?
so we'll await your formal application or what your,
Ooh, so, okay.
it's gonna be, and then we'll do that at the next park board meeting.
Is there some thought someplace other than Lakefront? I guess I'm
Yes,
not,
but I'm not going to go into that right now.
I guess I'm not real keen on this particular type of sculpture in Lakefront, but I guess I'd like to maybe understand it a little bit better before we.
Is there better pictures that you could provide?
Well, we'll
I have to admit, my first thought is garbage attached to the sculpture. And that's probably being naive on my part, I admit that. I'd just like to,
we're going to have a lot of garbage at our disposal because this is a basin-wide collection. So I suspect we're going to have a lot of good stuff to sift through.
You know, the other
It's,
possible place could be down by St. Croix Street by where the rowing club,
Hmm.
and that entrance to the park too.
Paul, did you say there's some places that, have these already constructed in St. Paul where we could?
Yeah, that one that Morph the Transforming Frog was done for the Mississippi. It's somewhere along the Mississippi. So the artist,
Find, give us an address where maybe we could go visit and, maybe I could stop and take some pictures and bring back.
this is the best story that I have right now, but I'm going to get with the artist next on the 15th. She's going to show up, and that's one of the things. In fact, after this, I can email her and try to get as much of that kind of information as possible. Yeah.
Even an address would be great because
Because I think you're going to have a hard time getting it in Lakefront Park. I honestly do. Permanently. I just think we'd have a hard sell on the general public and the taxpayers on why all that junk.
Well, it's not.
I understand the concept behind it.
Yeah.
But if somebody's not there to explain it, it's a pile of junk, right? That looks like a frog.
Well, it's recycled trash. I mean, the whole idea is to get out the idea that we're cleaning up the river. That's kind of the whole concept behind
I
it.
understand the concept behind it. I'm just saying whether or not we're going to be able to get that to fly in that prominent a place in the park, I think is going to be pushing a rope.
How much does that weigh, like, after it's filled?
Well, I don't know. It'll be pretty heavy. It's 7 by 7 by 7. So it's a
7
steel,
feet by
7 feet by 7 feet by, but it's a steel armature so that it's designed to have a long life.
Is the purpose to take trash and somehow clean it up so it doesn't smell so much?
No, it's not. This is like bottles, and it's not.
I mean,
it's
even
not
that stuff that
garbage.
you take out and wash off smells. And so I was just wondering, this isn't just
it's going to be cleaned up. It's not that. It's not that we're throwing a bunch of rotten eggshells at the
okay,
thing.
but
it's long.
Tires, metals, bottles,
That kind of things,
plastics.
right. Stuff that will long lasting. It's meant to last for a year, so that and then a year from now, whether or not it needs to come off or not, that'll be the exercise for the next year. It's.
Anybody else, any further discussion on it or questions at this time?
No, I understand the meaning behind it. I think that it'd be nice to see it someplace else too. I mean, go look at one that's been done.
Yeah, I'll work with you guys on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make a trip to do that.
But this is, well, give you an idea who's behind all of this. These are the various, I'm missing a couple of logos, but it's a lot of different people and organizations are behind this concept and working with us for Riverfest. But primarily the FIPS and
Paul, we aren't
just
telling
add
you
water.
your kid's ugly.
What's that?
We're not telling you your kid's ugly. We're just saying that it may not go
Yep,
in that prominent spot in the park.
got
That's
it.
going to
No.
be a tough
Well, we'll find a home
tough
for
sell.
it, whether or not it's right.
Picnic Point, maybe, the other end of the park. Yeah, I think we could look at some other possibilities, but.
Well, that was just an idea, that
Yep.
where that arrow is. That was just our first walkthrough.
Oh,
So-
I understand the logic and the rationale.
But Tom, you asked about Let's Go Fishing. I met with those guys a couple of weeks ago. Everybody familiar with what Let's Go Fishing is? It's a pontoon boat that they keep over in Bayport, and the idea is to get people with disabilities, veterans, older people that are infirm out there on the river to enjoy it. So they have agreed to keep the boat here in Hudson for a 2-day period, and we'll keep it in the marina overnight, but during the day we just want to have refresh excursions out on the river for those type of people.
And then you could just use like the seawall for access or.
Yeah.
Or I'm sure that you could work out, possibly talk to Gordy Jarvis, where the excursion boats are. At least there's a ramp there.
Yeah, that'd be
There's a
good.
possibility that Mr. Jarvis would entertain that idea, or the seawall has, access also.
And some of these guys have wheelchairs, and that's the pontoon boat is retrofit to deal with those kind of people. The idea is to be able to get as many people out there enjoying the river as possible. That's the whole concept behind this.
It's nice during the week.
And then they are donating a concert in the park for that Thursday night, so.
You know,
Steamboat Kings, I believe.
Steamboat Kings, SOS Players, there's a raffle, yeah.
That should be a great night.
yeah.
You
We're-
publish schedule yet?
I don't have the schedule. If you want, I can send you the schedule.
No, hopefully this week.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, great.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing it then at the next park board meeting and anything in between that.
Okay.
And Tom can
Well, like you say,
get
if you
out.
do find some, let us know,
Yeah.
and maybe we could go over and look, and someone would like to take a
She's-
drive over, and we could take some pictures, and
She's going to get peppered with a lot of questions next week, so I'll take whatever you guys have to heart and bring it to her and get back to you guys.
Okay.
Great.
Great.
Thanks a lot.
thanks, Paul.
Yep.
Number 5 on the agenda was review of 5-year capital budget requests. Tom, you want to give us some background on that and how the council has been in the budgetary process with?
Well, as you see, it's broken up in from 2013 to 2017. This was presented to the council and the finance committee. I don't think they've made any solid commitments yet for capital requests. I do know that there is, some concerns about Burton Field and some of the money that we're, going to put into that park. I guess at the last discussion, we talked a little bit about needs assessment and the fact that possibly it would be a good idea to work through the needs assessment to see where our greatest needs are, and once we establish the needs, maybe we can have a better direction as far as some major capital projects. Along with that, there's, in 2014, usually we revisit the outdoor park and recreation plan. Along with that, kind of goes along with the need assessments, which is something we could probably start working on very shortly. Who's to say that, maybe there's a greater need for a skating rink or hockey rink at White Camp Park or Grandview Park. We don't know. I just feel that the council would like to see where the greatest need is for the greatest, that type of investment.
Sure.
So as we move forward, I think there's some things that we'd like to get done in 2013, and as you can see, there's some big ticket items later on for some restrooms, and like at 2017, consider a restroom down by the playground area. Prospect Park, consider a new restroom. So there's some big ticket items there, and so I think that's what I would recommend, is that we kind of work through this needs assessment and see where the greatest needs are, because the money's pretty tight. The city has a lot of major street repairs and capital, some equipment and things that the city needs. So I think that, they value the park system and they want to keep the quality and the upkeep of the parks, but I think we really need to see where the greatest needs are, and I would like to work through that through the needs assessment, in the next year, and as we work through our outdoor rec comp probably in 2014.
So if I understand what you're saying correctly, right now, the $275,000 that we have planned for Burton Park is not going to go not going to take place in 13.
I haven't got a definite answer. My feeling is probably not.
What else,
one thing-
as you look at that list, what else on there, know or have a good sense or feeling of that's going to get scratched, or things that we can look at and say, do we really need to do the riprap on the dike, or do we, one boat launch needs it, but the other doesn't for sure. You can do that next, you know what I mean?
The precast boat launch things, that's an ongoing thing where, there's some liability involved. Seems like people power launch their boats, and then there's always a big drop off. We ended up hiring someone, excavator, to come in and pull the sand back, and then 2 weeks later it's gone. So I would really like to see both of those, precast boat launch things stay if possible. We've already started the storage shed slab up on Grandview Park. Actually, that should be poured. We were hoping tomorrow, sounds like rain, but in the next 2 days it should be poured. And hopefully the middle of next week, the structure should be moved from the Tourist Information Center up to Grandview, so we'll have some extra storage up there.
Who's moving that shed?
The developer contracted with,
Okay.
Is it simple or?
Is it? Okay.
Which side, just off the subject, which side of the spruce trees did that end up on?
that's actually on the water department side, so we can actually, it's
Utilizing
right
that
on the property line, but it's more on, it's on the water department side, so,
So we can utilize the driveway?
yeah.
Good.
Yep. So the thing that was brought up at one of the meetings was, I think it was Alderman Morissette asked if we could at least do some repairs or clean up a Burtonfield restroom. I know it's the only restroom that does not have sinks in it. You know, we could check into that, but you know, now you're talking drains and tearing up the floor, and you know, I just don't know if that's possible, but maybe maybe just a good cleaning or painting again. We did it a couple years ago, and until we see what's going to happen, probably in a year or two. But
That is, of all our bathrooms, that's probably the worst in the whole system.
so, if there's anything else that you feel that's really important, or one thing that I did look at the mill and overlay in parking lot at Grandview. It's really close. Maybe we could salvage it by doing some crack filling and flex patch, or a seal coat. Would probably be maybe half of that cost. I think we have $50,000 in there, but it's really close. There's a point where is it really worth it to do that? But maybe if things are really tight, we could probably crack fill and seal coat and get another 4 or 5 years.
A long ways towards the bathroom.
I'm sorry?
It'd go a long ways towards that bathroom.
Yes. So I'd like to visit with, maybe I'll get together with the asphalt contractor again and we'll revisit that.
How about the riprap on the dike?
Well, there is some areas next to the excursion boat that if you go down there, you're going to see some bad, it's starting to wash out really bad. I feel that there's a need for some, just for the, shoreline so it doesn't get washed out anymore. And it's, pretty much in that area from the bridge west, but it's generally, the worst area is right around that ramp where it goes down into the excursion.
Where that back eddy is?
Yeah.
Because it's more, if the longer you wait, it becomes a different kind of a project, then it needs to be engineered, so.
So right now,
it's more of a
So right now,
maintenance,
you've
right.
pared it down. I'm hearing you say you've got it pared down to pretty close to what we need in order to function going through the.
And the other thing is that just talking with the DNR, it's a lot easier to get a permit for maintenance, which where we're at right now, or if it turns into a major project, then then we have to get some major permits. But if it's considered maintenance, it's a lot easier to get our permits, and we'll be able to get the project probably done faster and expedite it quicker. Otherwise, we have to go through a lot of hoops and things like that. So.
Can they assist with any Dingle Johnson monies to help out?
I'm sure there's, if we can, if there's monies available to, apply for a grant or something.
Every time you buy a fishing license and guns, everything, all that surcharge tax on that is to come back through the DNR to projects like that.
Sure, we can check in. What's the name of it?
Dingle Johnson funds? Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything else, Tom? Like we said, there's things you'd like to do on here.
The walking trail.
Yeah, I was going to.
Yeah, are some of these going to happen anyway, or not?
Well, for sure, the field improvements is on the list, and the shed.
Okay.
And then I believe the trail at Lookout Point was already funded for Prospect Park Trail, so that one was already funds from last year, so I believe that's on there. And the inspection for Walnut Street, there's still funding left for that.
Okay.
How bad is the
So-
pavilion at Prospect Park? I see 25,000. Is that
Pretty bad.
pretty bad? I mean, is
Well,
that,
it's, I don't know if it's
It's not
really
leaking.
structurally, I mean, it's not leaking, but it
Okay.
it's a galvanized silver, roofing,
okay.
which is getting, pretty rusty and starting to
And-
look pretty tacky.
Is the plan that we'd replace it with another metal roof?
I would say,
Is that the recommendation? Is that what this would equate to?
unless, I think you'd want to keep the structure similar to what is
Well, that's
original.
historically was.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Could it wait another year? Possibly, yeah.
Have you been
I mean,
doing
if,
some?
if they said, okay, where do you have to cut?
Right,
That would
right.
probably be an area that maybe we can get another couple years out of it.
I guess that's what I'm kind of getting at. What's the A items, B items, and C items on here? What are we going to do? What do we like to do, and what are we not going to do?
Yeah. Well, this is, the big thing is at least, you got to put things down so at least it's on
Yeah.
on the council's radar.
You bet.
And at least, if they know about it, if we have concerns, and if we can't do it in 2013, slide it down a year or two or whatever. But, if it's not on the radar, then, I don't want, it's better to do it that way than say surprise.
What was the trail at Grandview? I forgot about that one. Is that going into the ball field or to the concessions, or is that new?
There's some areas up at Grandview Park that the asphalt trail is a little narrow, so when our vehicles or, the maintenance vehicles go around the corner, there's like similar to what we did down at Lakefront Park. It needs to be widened in certain areas, otherwise we just have big washouts. It's dirt and, it's a trip hazard, it's, kind of a safety issue. So it's just more improving, some of the radiuses where the walking trails are, so we can get our maintenance equipment in there better.
And when the finance director was explaining some of that, when those impact fees were collected, that really it was primarily for Grandview Park improvements for the north side, based on the needs assessment way back then. So that could possibly be funded through that, possibly.
See what we need at the time to do.
You kind of
Has there
have,
been anything else? I'm sorry.
no, you kind of have a running tally of what's still in the impact or user fees, right? That
Mhm.
Are there anything else this spring that you've discovered, once the snow and everything else left, that we have to take care of that you weren't anticipating in any of the parks?
few tree branches here and there I saw.
Yeah, overall, I think we weathered the storm pretty well.
I mean, I think the needs assessment is right on. I mean, I think
Yeah.
we need to step back and do that. I was just going to propose something that maybe we collectively identify, 2 parks over the next 3 months, and we look at 6 parks or 7 parks, and we each then have time during that month to go out and kind of do our own
Sure.
little bit of analysis, so we don't have to tie up everybody's time. But I think we could tackle 2 or 3 parks in a month and get out there and kind of do our checklist of what we see and come back with that.
Randy, that's a great idea. What 2 parks do we want to start with? Summertime, our best one, Lakefront and Prospect? Do
I mean,
those 2?
Yeah, I think we just need to
Start
pick
with
a
those
couple.
2 and-
Next
Oh,
month, let's
Lakefront
come
and
back.
Prospect?
Yeah,
And let's come
and
back.
if we can get word out to the other park board members to,
So would that be at another meeting, so we could just maybe,
we'll have, if everybody can get out there and look at those 2 and specifically and walk around them and come up with what they're seeing and what they think is needed and whatever, then
and then bring it back
And
to the
then when
next
we
park
have
board
our meeting next time on the agenda, we can have those 2 parks for needs assessments and discuss what items, issues, and the like that we saw then from being there that,
I mean, if you get something done earlier, maybe it would even behoove us to send an email to Deb, and Deb could at least compile a list before the meeting, and maybe there'd be some duplication of effort or whatever, so we could all kind of look
We
at this.
probably have lots of lists from years.
Well, I was gonna say, I know we've done this before, so we probably have some of the same things, but that would speed up the process too a little bit,
mhm.
so.
Yeah, I can send an email out and just kind
Yeah,
of
why don't you do
something like that,
that?
and then you
Okay.
can send it back to me.
And then as we visit some of
Add
these
it to the
places,
list.
we can.
Because then, once you get the list, then it becomes the dollars.
Right.
Then you gotta.
Right.
put
Then you
some-
gotta prioritize.
And Tom, we'll leave the next 2 after that to be your recommendation of what you want us to to go see if it's Burton and Williams, or if it's, out because of stuff at Grandview, we want to get out to Grandview and White Camp, and,
Right.
based on what you've got going on as the next choice
Sure.
for the two we can hit.
I think it's, a good avenue to go, and, and we can have some good, solid information to bring back to council, and
Yeah.
so they can make some decisions and financially, and
We kind of did that 5, 6, 7 years ago. I kind of remember we all had our own parks. I think at that time we were assigned parks and kind of came back with lists, but I
Mhm.
think if we can all go there and hit a couple a month, we can pick away at this pretty quick.
yeah, that's a great idea.
So,
Okay. Well, that takes us through item number 6. Number 7, review site layout and costs added to existing rock wall play structures at Williams. Tom, you want to take off on that one again?
This is just a addition to the current structure that we have up there. We just feel that the structure itself is, we have to go with the current vendor, so it adds on, it's compatible. It seems like it's, one of the, Williams Park is one of the, a very busy area, and it's one of the featured playground pieces that really the kids like, so we'd like to consider purchasing another playground, a rock climbing wall portion to add on to the existing playground.
so refresh my memory, what's there now? Does this represent anything that's there now, or?
Yeah. We have this there now. It's just that we don't have, the slide isn't on there, I
Okay.
believe, or the climbing up, and it's just another section is all it is. We only have this little piece.
Oh, that part?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
How much, Tom?
6,000, oh,
13,700?
sorry, I didn't
Is
think,
that-
I didn't give
is
you,
that the-
anyhow, it was,
We have, the balance in the fund is 13,800.
yeah, but this is like right around 7,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I meant to put that in there, because I
Mhm.
didn't.
So we've got the funding there for it.
If we choose to go that route.
Well, I just drove by the park on the way down here and it was packed.
Oh, yeah.
It's very busy.
Um,
Well, when we redid that park, we put the new playground in, and then we had this added on, so it's all kind of one area, and there's plenty of space that meets the safety requirements, and we've just had a lot of requests for
Oh, yeah.
rock climbing walls, and it's already there, so.
And that's the busiest little kid park we have in town. I mean, that's the mom's park with little ones.
What's the base? What do we have on the ground there as far as the base? What are we using up there as far as the
wood chips.
chips, is it? How's that working out?
Pretty good. It's actually, I know there's some council questions, wood chips, why we have to purchase wood chips, but actually it's special engineered chips that don't have really sharp splinters and things like that. We couldn't use our wood chips from our, from out of our, when we chip branches and trees and things, but we have to add, freshen it up and add to it every year, every couple of years, but,
How much should we spend doing that?
Well, we're kind of actually to the point now, I think everything's pretty good. We have to get maybe another load or so just to freshen it up, but last year, we kind of let it go a little bit, so. We spent a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, why we can't use our
10,000.
regular wood chips is.
No, we can't use
We
it.
can't. Who says?
Yeah,
Because it's specially engineered wood chips that have to, because they don't meet the safety standards.
Oh, my
We could take it out and put sand in.
Really?
Pat, you just weren't made for these times.
I'm sorry, it just,
I'll send you
Oh,
the
it-
spec.
yeah, I'm sure there's probably rules and regulations.
Put it through a
and-
machine and it's like they're rubber, they're actually rubberized.
Really?
Mhm,
Okay.
yes.
Do they stay in place pretty good, or do
well,
they
the other
scatter?
thing we did do, we've been trying to do the last few years was, if you see on there, there's kind of a black edging. It's about 8 inches tall, and we tried to go around the, to contain the wood chips. Prior to that, when we had sand, seemed like we'd keep adding sand. Well, pretty soon it just keeps going farther and farther out, and then the weeds tend to come in, and then pretty soon So this is something that we've been doing the last few years, and it seems like it contains the wood chips. It's a little more uniform, and it's I think it's a little more pleasing. You know, it's more structured. So that plastic edging seems like it's been holding up really good.
Good.
Okay, good. Is that money that's allocated there, that 13,000, is that
That's
specifically?
in one of the park funds. That's in the.
It's actually, it's part of that's what's left from the 2011 capital funds that I think we had 25 or 30,000 just for
Okay.
park. We bought picnic tables, garbage cans,
okay.
play equipment,
So
so,
it's not capital.
yeah, it's capital.
But it's from the
capital.
2011.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Carryover from the
Yeah, it's just a
2011.
carryover.
It's not the impact fee, or
No.
not park improvement fund, it's from the capital
But it-
leftover from 2012.
But it's not just for Williams?
No.
That was money left over, okay.
So
Like we bought Prospect Park swing set out of that fund, and we've
Okay.
bought in some different
Okay.
swings and things.
So Tom, do you need a motion from us
Mm-hmm.
authorizing that? Then-
If you'd like to recommend the purchase of that, yeah, if you'd like to move forward with that, yes.
Would someone like to
Yeah,
make
I'd
a
like to
motion?
make a motion to purchase that playground equipment for Williams Park not to exceed, what was the amount?
I want to say it was right around 7,100.
$7,000.
I can
From the
find out.
2011 capital project funds.
Second?
Moved and seconded to take the funds from the 2011 project funds and spend up to $7,000 on the playground equipment that Tom has in our packet. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
When might that go into place if we, when can you see
If
this?
the council would approve it,
Yeah.
then we could move forward,
Right.
we could get it ordered and.
Okay.
It takes about a month or.
Yeah, I was saying, it must take 30 or 40 days to get stuff, and then, yeah. okay.
Yep.
Now, is that the deal where we'll buy it and then you guys will install it, or?
No,
Generally, like on some of the, like Burton Field and some of the big structures when it's brand new, we've contracted, one of the playground equipment reps to come in and help lay it out, and, you know, it's just a lot easier and kind of supervise the installation. And then we had our city staff actually physically do everything, but it was just, we
Sorry.
included the price for one of their people to be there to supervise. When it was a whole,
Right.
there's a lot of nuts and bolts and screws and things that was just a lot easier that way. I think for a smaller structure like this, I don't think that's probably needed.
So what, so your crew would
Yeah, I
install?
think that this is a small enough piece that I don't think that would be needed, but,
Okay.
The last time we did the rock wall, he actually came and he worked with a couple of our guys. Right now, he's
Right now, in
quoting
his
it-
pricing, he's got it to us as new at Rockwall Edition, $6,475 delivered, and then another $950 as a separate line item to install.
And we can talk to him about
And-
that. I'm sure that if we
I'm
provide him with a
guessing that'd
guy
be
or something.
prorated if we did
Uh-huh.
down from there.
Is this add-on structure buried in the ground or cemented in, or how?
there's posts that are cemented, yeah.
There is posts, okay.
Okay.
Next item is project updates, Tom. Any project
Well,
updates?
we're kind of getting into the full swing of spring, and it happened really fast. We had a late start on all our ball fields. I think currently Burton Field is being used the last week or so. They're playing on both fields. I think we were supposed to have games last Sunday at Grandview Park. We're still starting to open up the restrooms. It's warm enough now. I know Grandview's open, and we're slowly kind of getting the restrooms opened up the next week or so. We've had a lot of cleanup from the heavy snows. A lot of branches and trees were down. We're working on that. And just walking through Lakefront Park today, it's not going to be so very long, and we're going to have to start mowing.
Mhm.
Maybe a week or so.
When's our vendor start at the bathhouse?
Memorial.
Memorial Day weekend?
Mhm.
Do we have to do anything, any repairs or anything there that we have from over the winter?
Doesn't sound like.
The band shell, that's really good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So other than that, it's just getting things ready for the summer. You know, the parks are being used already. We're, you know, kind of go through and empty trash cans just about, you know, every other day now. But
Where did we leave the mooring issue, and when the water goes down, are we obligated to install some anchor systems, or what is the next step
yes.
there?
At the council meeting 2 weeks ago, the council approved
Right,
the dinghy storage back on the dike.
right.
We just put together a bid sheet, and it'll be in the website, and we're gonna have it in the paper this week, and I'll hand deliver some of the specifications to some of the local contractors. And I think that we're requesting that the bids be in by May 17th.
Yep.
So, and we're requesting also that that be constructed within 2 weeks from the, you know, once the bid is awarded,
Mhm.
that we'd like to have that done within 2 weeks. So we're getting around to that 1st of June
Yep.
area.
Is that for 5 different anchor systems or locations, or?
Exactly, yeah, they would like, the council would like to have 5 locations or areas identified. And so we'd have about 10 boats in each area. We felt, you know, that each boat's about 5 feet wide. If you have 10 feet, you need about 50 feet. So I would like to see, what we're proposing is 2 25-foot sections, you know, maybe a 10-foot space in between, possibly if
Mhm.
they would ever decide on steps or some access, we'd leave a 10-foot space in between.
Mhm.
Are we gonna assign locations then to the moorers along with their mooring number? They'll be assigned to one of the 5
Yep.
for their dinghy?
Yeah, we can just put it like on the post or something,
Mhm.
you know, just the numbers, which ones.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there's some specific uniformity conditions for the dinghies. They have to be a certain width, you know, no wider than, I think it's 5 feet, 55 inches, and no longer than 10 feet max. Color, we want a uniform color, either white or a cream or a kind of a neutral color. And they have to be in a specific location.
I can, I'll send out the final policy
That
and
would be
everything
good.
to you so that you'll have everything that was approved and everybody's getting, I can send it out.
That would be good.
And send a copy of the bids too. and
Did
take a
that
look.
require us to change anything in the mooring policy?
There was a lot of stuff changed.
Was there a lot of stuff changed there?
Yeah, I think that would be in our minutes. We
Yeah.
changed all that last time to
Yeah, I know there was a lot of language
go
there.
with it, so
Okay.
it'd be real nice to be able to read that.
And a
through again.
waiver that they have to,
I'll
you
send
know,
that out to you.
sign, so that, you know, when they're climbing up and down the rocks, that, you know, disclaimer.
Mhm. Are we gonna realign any of the moorings themselves this summer?
Actually, it'd be the responsibility of the mooring people, and, you know, I think I'm gonna send out a letter and say that, you know, there's some aerial photos that we have, and, there's some that need to be, straightened out, yes.
Don't we straighten those and they pay for them? I thought we set them last time. They didn't, did they?
No, they've always said.
They've always set them?
I
Okay.
think it's their responsibility to set the anchor, you know,
Mhm.
just for liability reasons, if one ever broke loose, I think it's their responsibility. I feel that it should be their responsibility to set those anchors, and they should, you know, go according to the coordinates that are, you know, on that map.
We
Okay.
do the mooring area buoys, so we set the area buoys. We
Yeah,
do
that's
that,
what,
but-
yeah.
But the individual
So-
ones.
But then the individual, they have to get it back to their mooring buoy.
Mhm.
Yeah, because they actually own the anchors
Mhm.
and the buoys.
So are we gonna have them, as part of their packet of information that they get for this year, will they be made aware of the fact that we want them to realign their
Yep.
particular anchor? And will we be giving them a set amount of time to
Well,
do that, or
look
give
at
them
it. I mean,
the
we-
summer?
Yeah, yeah, we'll look at it once they get all out there. I mean, right now, we're,
And they could have moved
Packets
a little
have
bit
gone
from
out.
the winter or something too, so
Mhm.
once they get out there and, but I would like to see it a little more, uniform. There's a couple of them that are off quite a bit.
Mhm.
So yes, we'll talk to them about that.
And is Gordy moving his dock, and is that permit going forward? Have we heard anything on that yet?
The lease agreement with Mr. Jarvis is, complete and signed, and, that's between the city and Mr. Jarvis, and it's a
Mhm.
5-year contract to be reviewed in, 5 years. We have submitted the core permit for the changes to that dock. We received an acknowledgement letter several weeks ago,
Mhm.
and I haven't heard anything since. I did speak with Mr. Jarvis this morning, and he hasn't heard anything either, and we haven't heard anything.
Okay.
So I guess I don't have anything to report other than it's in their hands right at the moment. He did say there was some damage to the dock, so he'll be working on that, winter damage, so he'll be working on that.
Mhm. Any other issues in Lakefront Park or any of the other parks that are still kind of dangling out there that the park board in general should be aware of or keep an eye out and watch for?
One thing that bothers me a lot is that, and I've asked a couple times to get some kind of a security camera or something. Last year, we did some really nice improvements to Prospect Park Pavilion. We put a new sink in, new countertops. We come up last week for Arbor Day, a few days before Arbor Day, and here they took the sink and they took the faucet and they just ripped it off, and they bent broke the faucet off, the sink, bent that, and then somehow they took the nice countertop we had, they actually peeled the laminate off a big chunk of it, so I don't know how to repair that, and it's just unfortunate. If we could just try to catch some of these people that are vandalizing.
It'd be great to catch them and have their parents pay to refix it.
Somehow, and it seems like it's this time of year, it's down in the bathhouse area, it's kind of a hangout there, and Prospect Park, and Grandview Park, and the playground, so, I would like to, and I have requested, some type of security camera. I even suggested one of these trail cameras you use for hunting.
Mhm.
Purchase a couple of those, but, it's just disheartening to see, we
That is.
work so hard and invest the money and the time and to have a nice quality place where people can use, and a lot of people reserve our parks, the Prospect and Grandview and White Camp, and to have things destroyed is kind of disheartening. So I would say that, if there's some way that we can get some kind of cameras or something, I'd like to see in very near future.
Mhm. Cool. Anything else for future agendas that people want to place on or have to?
I'd like the cameras put on to a future agenda.
I think it's a great idea.
I think it is.
Mhm.
And we all know what the financial that we're up against. I think maybe trail cams.
Something just to
So
try it.
I don't know if between now and the next meeting,
Mhm.
I know that, I believe you're into hunting. I'm not, so I don't have the magazines that would have the ads. But I think it's
For a
the
few $100,
lowest
you
budget
can.
way to do it.
Mhm. Yeah.
For future agendas, as part of the needs assessment, we're planning to go live for our new website on Thursday. And so, right now, we're gonna be a little bit in, some of the areas are gonna be a little lax. So if we took each park and we kind of looked at each one and said, what do you wanna see on this page? Because each one has their own page. And then over the winter months, we're gonna go into the reservation part of it, and we're going to be doing online reservations, which is gonna be really helpful. But I think we can really make our parks pages.
Now, this is
Okay.
just off the top of my head, and it's a pretty shallow pond, okay? But what's wrong with having live broadcast cams from down at Lakefront Park at the pavilion? so that all those kids messing around know that they're being watched by everybody.
Right. They have the webcams.
You know, I mean, what,
Yeah,
I mean, that would be
that's what it's.
perfect.
Yeah, you
And
can
we
see-
got them, and their parents can watch them, and their neighbors can watch them, and we see something get demolished, we know who did it. Sorry that we have to be in that kind of a society, that we have to have cameras and
I'll
Big
check
Brother
with Mike,
watching,
the
but
IT guy, and maybe there's, you
that-
know,
Yeah, because
it's reality, and if it's, and check, maybe it's a system that we move around,
all right.
but I think it would pay for itself in savings on vandalism in a season.
Is any of the vandalism that takes place something you can collect an insurance policy on? Do we
I think
have
it's, you know, I think we have
Is
a
it over-
$1,000 deductible,
Is it like what
so.
it is?
some of it is, yeah, some of it.
1,000? Okay.
Any other items? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to, second?
All those in favor?
All right.
Motion carried.